Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be checking out the Supergirl Special Issue 1 by Mariko Tamaki and Skylar Partridge. Much like the Power Girl Special, this issue seeks to set Kara Zor-El on her own path and story, while also embedding her into the Superman family team that we've seen within the pages of Action Comics and the Superman ongoing. Tamaki expertly builds off some of the pieces of Kara's story we've gotten from mostly Philip Kennedy Johnson, specifically her storytelling and being one of the only few people who actually kind of remember what Krypton was like before it exploded, and someone who actually got to experience their culture. A big piece of the Superman family story right now has been Power Girl being made part of the family properly, and Tamaki uses this to explore Kara's feelings about that, or Kara's side of the story, since Power Girl is her Earth 2 doppelganger, and it gives her all sorts of existential problems. And of course you've got things like social media not making it any better by running polls and people having opinions on which Supergirl is better than the other. Tamaki uses this as a jumping off point to bring in some of Kara's past, and we see her past as a sports star on Krypton and how it really made her competitive. She had to be the first one through the gate, she had to be first all the time. However, she never really ended up like that, because no matter how much she tried, no matter how much she pushed herself, it would never come to that. It would never come to her being first. She'd always end up tripping, or something would actually happen in her life that would stop her from doing that. Things begin to come to a head with Power Girl when, while saving a building from being destroyed, Kara foolishly tries to turn superheroics into a competition, trying to be faster than her doppelganger to try and save some people from a falling piece of rubble. However, it ends up going wrong and she ends up almost endangering a lot of people. And I do like that she immediately knows what she did was wrong and kind of questions, why does she need to change this into a competition? She knows she doesn't need to and knows she can't do that because it's dangerous. However, she did it anyway. And Tamaki does a really good job of exploring her in the aftermath of this and how she feels quite depressed even though she won't admit it, and it leads to a really great scene with Lois, who brings her over cupcakes and gets to talk with her about what's happening with her and how she was always one step behind. No matter how fast she tried to go, she could never beat that other person on Krypton. And it led to her also thinking that when she was eventually sent to Earth to protect Kal-El, and she arrived only to find he was a grown man and didn't need his protection. And it leads to a really wonderful line from Lois, who tells Kara that she just arrived in time just to be Supergirl. And I think that's actually a really great way to look at it, since we have obviously Power Girl, who has gone through quite a bit of a transformation over in her solo book and in the special that led to it, since she got a new name change, she got new powers, she's able to punch into people's dreams, she's become sort of a superhero therapist. She's drastically changed from what we know Power Girl used to be, and I like the idea that that didn't need to be applied to Kara here. I like that she can just be Supergirl because that is who she is. There doesn't always need to be a giant status quo change or anything, or a big change of origin, or combining characters together to make a new character. You don't need to do any of that. Sometimes the character can just be that character, and I really applaud Mariko for doing that, and hopefully we get to see a bit more of that Kara shine, hopefully in her own solo series, since this doesn't actually lead to a solo series like the Power Girl book did. I have to imagine there will be something with Supergirl coming up very soon. I would like to see this story continue in her knowing and following on those words and just being Supergirl again. Kara isn't done yet though, since she also has the final sort of confrontation with Power Girl, and you expect there to be some sort of argument or some type of fight, since it feels like it was building towards that. But I like that because these two women are so similar to each other, they're literally the same person. They end up sharing cupcakes and talking about each other's experiences, and how Power Girl, who saved the person that Kara put in danger, was mistaken for Supergirl and told that Supergirl is the person's favorite hero. And I like that they just share a good laugh about it, and I like that also Power Girl does the same thing that Kara does with cupcakes, which is then rip them apart and turn them into like a sandwich, which is of course the proper way to eat a cupcake. And I like that little touch that they both do the same sort of thing, so they're very similar but also very different people in the end. And yeah, it's just great seeing them sort of get together and hash things out, and it's something that's also been a long time coming, since Power Girl's been back for quite some time now, so I'm glad they're finally burying the hatchet and getting together and sorting things out, and it was great. And I really hate that the comic ended where it did, where it was them sorting things out, since I want to see what is next. And hopefully we do get that solo series for Supergirl, and hopefully maybe she does appear in the Power Girl book, since it'd be great to see these two team up now that they've buried the hatchet and have sorted things out. Drawing Tamako's story is Skylar Partridge, an artist who I don't think I've actually seen her artwork before, and I've got to say, for this being my first experience with her, I really liked her artwork. I think it fit Kara super well. I like how she draws her backgrounds and how they're very dreamlike in nature, and I like the flashbacks to Krypton having a very washed out look, almost like a faded memory, which fits in really nicely with the story of Kara forgetting what Krypton was like, since it's so far removed from her life now that she's beginning to form new memories on new lives, and she's actually been on Earth longer than she was on Krypton. I really like how Skylar portrays movement as well, especially with Kara using her super speed and how the bottom part of the body blurs out into just speed lines, almost like how the X-Men Cannonball's powers are portrayed. I really like when an artist actually puts the effort in to make a character look like they actually have super speed and can move at the speed of sound or the speed of light or in the blink of an eye, since it doesn't happen as often as you'd think, since a lot of time movement is very hard to get across in still images. But Skylar does it really well, and I really like how they portray the action in the issue as well. The action is very dynamic and uses the page space really well. Mariko Tamaki and Skylar Partridge's Supergirl Special Issue 1 was a fantastic look at Kara's life currently and where she is in the Superman family and what her place in the family is. I thoroughly enjoyed that there wasn't any giant status quo shift like we've seen with recent characters all across DC, and it was really just a reminder that Supergirl can be Supergirl, because that in itself is really damn cool. Hopefully we get to see a series spin out of this, since I'd love really for just more Superman family books, since they've all been fantastic, and I think Kara deserves another chance at a solo series book, since it's been quite some time since we've actually had an in-canon Supergirl series. And if Mariko Tamaki was given the chance to write it, I'm sure she'd have a great story in mind for Kara Zor-El. I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10. Definitely check it out, especially if you've been reading Action Comics and the Superman ongoing, since it builds off a lot of the stuff Joshua Williamson and Philip Kennedy Johnson did there, and sort of pays off a lot of the stuff as well, setting Kara up on a path for hopefully a solo series.